For the Cougars, 5'8", sophomore, number 3, Demaya Riley. For the Mustangs, 5'5", sophomore, number 21.
And you're watching the introductions as we continue our coverage from the Pat Patterson Thanksgiving tip-off here at Hamline University. Mike Pete and all by myself, talking to myself. For this one, it's the Como Park Cougars at 1-0, and the Mounds View Mustangs looking for their first win of the year. Mounds View was a rough go a year ago, 9-17, but two of their wins came against Cretin-Durham Hall. They got the sweep on the Suburban East Conference champions. Como Park won another St. Paul City Conference title, and they'll likely win another one, likely an understatement. They beat Bloomington Kennedy yesterday, 57-48. Mounds View struggled against Eastview. The Mustangs, they've got a ways to go before they are in the conversation among contenders in Suburban East and Section 5 4A. But what we're going to see is a battle of two extraordinarily young teams. No seniors for Como Park and just two for Mounds View this year. A lot of freshmen and sophomores on the part of Como Park. And for Mounds View, they've got some older folks, but this is an opportunity for Alexis Gray Lawson and Ashley Enzel to build up a foundation that they can use for the next couple of years. Here's a look at the starters for Mounds View. It's Katie Manicky, number 4, Lauren Danielson, number 21, Lindsay Becker, number 22, Chloe Whalen, number 32, and Elizabeth Calls, number 34. Como Park will start Demaya Riley, number 3, Shania Nichols, number 23, KK Asbury, number 24, Chloe Dimitrick, the transfer from Columbia Heights, number 25, and Jada James, number 42. Como wearing the black, Mounds View wearing the white. Como Park, a fixture at the Pat Patterson tip-off for years, same as Mounds View. They've been doing this event for a long time, and we're underway. Mounds View wins the tip. And this is Katie Manicky wearing the bowl cut. Calls, swings it around. And sound really travels around here, as we've discovered in a couple of earlier games today and one last night. Shania Nichols can knock down three-pointers. That one is short. Shania, the younger sister of Michaela Van Nett, who's now playing at Hutchinson Community College. A lot of alumni from Como Park making the trek out here to support their comrades, including Zarina Cementelli, who is now a college-bound athlete. And it will be Como Park ball. Como, as usual, they've got a lot of young, scrappy talent. They've had a lot of that for years at the guard position. What they lack is height. They had Zarina Cementelli. Wasn't the best of post options, but that was it. Dead ball rebound to the Mustangs. They worked their way inside, but Elizabeth Calls cannot finish. Demaya Riley with the board. Mounds View with the steal. It ends up in the hands of Katie Manicky. Alexis Gray Lawson in her 4th year as head coach of Como Park. And Katie Manicky gets us started. Nichols out to Riley. Now back to Nichols. KK Asbury had a couple of strong games early in the season a year ago. Dimitrick missing the runner. Jada James can't clean it up. She'll try again and will shoot 2. Como Park finished above 500, thanks in large part to their sweep in the St. Paul City Conference. Mounds View under 500 at 9-17. But as the wins over Cretin-Durham Hall indicated, there is a lot of that perhaps wasn't there a few years ago in the big classes, and we're seeing that at all levels of women's hoops. College as well. What used to be UConn's prize for the taking is no longer such a cinch. Jada James missing both free throws. And Como almost gets the strip. Jada James couldn't quite get there in time. Alexis Gray Lawson, Como's head coach, spent a couple of years in the WNBA, has a cousin who's still playing there, Chelsea Gray of the Los Angeles Sparks. And Como Park wasting little time, making substitutions. Ronnie Porter, one of the freshmen you may hear a lot about, has an older brother who plays for St. Paul Central. Here's Nichols. Tried to lob it to James and could not do so. Porter for 3. Got it. Mounds, you looking for the answer? And they won't get it. That's a dead ball rebound to the Cougars as Elizabeth calls his shot, went off the backboard. Como not lacking in energy here. Nichols lines up the 3. Got it. Nichols showed her range a few times last year as a 7th grader for the Cougars. And they take a 6-2 lead. And drawing the offensive foul is KK Asbury. Como Park, one little quirk about their schedule this year, all their non-conference games will take place, with the exception of St. Agnes, by the end of December. Some opponents worth noting: Robbinsdale Cooper, Minnehaha Academy, Maranatha Christian Academy, and Holy Angels. All of them in the state tournament in their respective classes. Como will hang on to it. 14:47 left in the first half. Mounds View will make a few subs. Claire Dalton among them, number 31. Jada James missing the mid-range, Jay. Danielson, guarded by Nichols, gets past the timeline. Long 2 is short from Danielson, and Ronnie Porter brings the rock up. Bounces it over to KK Asbury, who scores on the drive. And KK Asbury had a big game against Stillwater last year, showing a glimpse of the youth and the potential for this Como Park team. Mounds will call a timeout. 14:04 remains in the first half. While we're on this timeout, if you'd like to support a broadcast on TSP television, just Hit us up on Patreon, patreon.com/TSB Television. Sponsorship rates start at $1 a month, and you can get your name in the credits. You can find yourself right here on a broadcast. Some of the perks we have on offer. An 8-2 start for the Cougars. They've always been a scrappy team. Not gonna lie, it's a little hard to call games by yourself when there's so little data to draw from. Tough break for Mounds here. They got the steal, but number 14, Lindsay Redlinger, slipped on the Hutton Arena surface. Nichols working away through traffic, goes for the drive, no good. Jada James is fouled on the rebound. It was on the floor, so a side out for the Cougars. Already the third foul charged to the Mustangs. Mounds View in the Suburban East Conference. You'll find them in Section 5. Mustangs with another steal. This time they'll capitalize. Lauren Danielson takes it all the way. Chloe Dimitrick. Baseline J falls short. Dead ball rebound to the Cougars. 13:09 left in the first half. Como Park reached the state tournament years ago, 2016, the senior year of Andrea Adams. Last couple of years have been a little rough. They've lost in the section semifinal both years. Shot no good, and the rebound goes to Lindsay Becker. And playing in the St. Paul City Conference makes it tough for them to get a lot of respect in seeding. Elizabeth Calls stepped on the line as she received the pass, so the Cougars will take over. 2 years ago with St. Anthony Village, as Como Park suffered a drought. And Chloe Dimitrick, a little trigger happy, wanted to inbound it right away, but KK Asbury was still tying her shoes, so we'll have a do-over. And Dimitrick will head out for now. Shaquila Walker, number 30, will take her place. Now, Como Park had some talent, with Michaela Van Nett and her three-point proficiency. Elena Jones played another year there before transferring to De La Salle. Ronnie Porter fires the three. That's off the mark. Como Park playing that token full court. Ronnie Porter trying to get the stop, and she ends up with a foul instead on Leah Ban, number 2. Hamlin tip-off, one of the longest running tip-off events for girls hoops. Three from the corner is no good. Lauren Danielson called for traveling as she was looking for a passing target. Foul is called on the Mustangs. Will be charged to Lauren Danielson. First personal foul. Nichols on the drive. Add 2 to her total. 10-4 our score. Nichols up to 5 points already. Como trying to get the steal using that pressure defense of theirs again. Elizabeth Calls had an opening for a minute. Moundsview biding their time. Turnaround J doesn't fall for Lindsay Becker. And Como Park loses their grip off the rebound. Nice read by the Cougars. They tip the inbound pass right back to Leah Ban. And that means a turnover since Ban was out of bounds. And you can't do that off an inbound. Nichols. Sees a lane, goes for it again. Can't bank it off the glass. Jada James blocked on the putback attempt. Tries to shovel, pass it out. Dead ball rebound to the Cougars. 10-4 our score. We've noticed this in the case of a lot of teams. That back-to-back, playing that second day, fatigue starts to set in. Deep three for Ronnie Porter, short. Jada James picks it up, was looking for an entry pass inside to Porter. Moundsview got the deflection. And Katie Menike comes up with a pick. And a blocking foul is called. Jada James tagged with a foul. Not keeping track of timeouts on the scoreboard, in case you're wondering. Moundsview has 4, Como has 5. We've been at 10-4 for a while. And a foul away from the ball on Como Park. Goes against Shania Nichols, her first personal. almost could have hit with another one, but Lindsay Becker able to collect the pass and bank it in. Nichols hands it off to Asbury, directing traffic. Now Asbury was looking for the backdoor play to Jada James. Mounds View read it all the way, but they won't be able to do anything with it, throwing it away on the fast break attempt. And another substitution coming in for Como Park. Dania Riley, number 0. Take the floor. Porter. The kick out to Nichols for 3. Beautiful. And a traveling violation on Mounds View. Mounds View more mistake prone in the opening minutes. Nichols 13 points in the opener against Kennedy yesterday. Asbury also had 13. Ronnie Porter had 16. But they're making their threes, at least more of them than Mounds View is. Mounds View has yet to make one, in case you're wondering. And then they cough it up right to Dania Riley's hands. She's got a lead, blocked from behind, but a late foul is called. Tough to tell from this vantage point. Chloe Whalen looked like she got the block, but apparently made contact. That will send Riley to the line. Historically, free throw shooting outside of folks like Michaela Van Nett and Andrea Adams, free throw shooting hasn't been a strong point for the Cougars. But Riley gets the first one to drop. The elder of the Riley sisters, gets both, and the Cougars with the steal. It's Ronnie Porter. Tried to get the finger roll. She'll get 2 free throws out of it. Como Park's aggressiveness paying dividends, just like it did yesterday against Kennedy. And much like yesterday, Bloomington Kennedy played well in the first half, well enough to hang with them, but the intangibles have not been in their favor. Ronnie Porter. A lot of folks have tapped her as a player to watch over the next few years. That young Como Park team garnering a lot of respect. Ronnie Porter sinks her free throws. The Cougars build their lead to 11, 17-6, 8:35 left in the first half. Mounds View can't answer there. Players tumbling everywhere, and the ball will go to Como Park. This Pat Patterson tip-off event grown immensely over the last few years. It used to be a 4-team bracket, then it turned into a 12-team, 3-pod deal, and now it's a round robin. One of the signature kickoff events in girls hoops, and St. Thomas getting in on the action. And what once was a small gathering is now a full-day affair, featuring some of the state's top teams, with St. Thomas hosting the Catholic schools in Hamlin, hosting the public. Asbury trying to back off to avoid the 5-second call. just escapes it. Ronnie Porter almost had it. Gets in there amongst the trees for the O-board. Dimitrick blocked by Lindsey Becker, but ends up getting the ball right back. Trying to shake off Becker, able to do so, and then a blocking foul on the Mustangs. And that, if I'm correct, will send Como to the line. It will, because Mounds View now in the penalty. Going to the line, someone who doesn't get a ton of playing time, Jashawna Baker, the 5'5 junior. Como Park taken over as queens of the St. Paul City after St. Paul Central had dominated that conference year after year. Baker missing the front end of the 1-and-1, so an empty possession on the part of the Cougars, but they still have an 11-point lead. High-low, pump fake, no good. Nice move by Calls, just didn't go in. Now they'll try the long two instead, and that goes long. Shots not falling for the Mustangs, but they get several O-boards, and they'll get a trip to the free throw line. The first one for the Mustangs. Lindsey Becker, who led the team yesterday in the game against Eastview, scored 12 points. Becker makes the second. Mounds View split. That ends their scoring drought for now. But they would like to string together a series of plays. And KK Asbury using her athleticism to her advantage there. Draws a blocking foul on Danielson. And hands the ball off to the official, and now we'll go to the free throw line. Not sure she was aware of the foul tally. KK Asbury, as we said, had that strong game against Stillwater. Couldn't quite replicate that performance the rest of the year, but she was an 8th grader back then. She's a 9th grader now. And I have to imagine she'll become more potent over time. Como Park doing a fine job working their way to the line. But they're not doing a whole lot to capitalize on it, just 5 of 9. Again, not necessarily a surprise. Historically, free throw shooting has not been a strong suit. And free throws coming for the Mustangs. Katie Manicky heads the strike. Manicky with just 2 points. And not a lot to speak of offensively on the part of the Mustangs. Manicky missing both free throws, but Nichols couldn't grip the rebound, so the Mustangs will get a fresh possession out of it. Break for Mounds View. And Lindsey Becker airballs it. Como looking for the outlet. Porter got it, but opts not to drive. Will kick out. Asbury will reset the offense. Now Porter fires the corner 3 and gets the friendly bounce. Porter with 8, Nichols with 8. Cougars up by 2 touchdowns, 21-7. calls pump fakes the three and draws a foul. Last to give for the Cougars. And 2 free throws coming. Beckers is the only Mounds View player to score in double figures, and with a young team that graduated a lot of seniors a year ago, you expect Mounds View, they'll have some work to do. They were competitive in a lot of St. Paul City or Suburban East Conference games as Calls gets on the board. They weren't getting blown out in most circumstances, but they weren't finishing on the positive end either, with the exception of Cretin-Derham Hall. But it goes to show you just how much results are unpredictable. I'm sure most folks would have given Mounds View a chance to beat Cretin-Derham Hall, and even though Cretin went on to state, Mounds View was the only team who could claim a sweep. Deshauna Baker gets the steal just before the ball goes out of bounds. James, kick out, Porter for 3 again. James tracks down the rebound. She'll launch it. Bullseye. Como Park may not be the most fluid team, but they certainly look composed, at least more so than the Mustangs. And a lot of that has to do with that scrappy play of theirs. They've never shied away from it. And they forced a turnover. Mounds View having to rush the pass there. And they throw it away. Cougars having a chance to build on this lead. It helps that they've hit a few three-pointers as well. Mounds View struggling offensively. Baker wants in on the action. Her three-pointer is short. Lindsay Becker. Diddy Manicky couldn't get the layup down. Como with another transition chance. Jada James is fouled from behind. And Lindsay Becker will help up her opponent. These two teams played each other a year ago. Como Park got a convincing win in that one and then defeated Orono handily. They'll continue their series with Minneapolis North for another year. And Alexis Gray-Lawson told me she expects she'll resume that inter-city series with Crystal Flint next year, with Crystal now coaching Cretin-Derham Hall. They'll also play Matamidi, a section opponent, although I expect the result of that game to be a little bit different than last year, where Matamidi picked up a pair of convincing wins. Jada James missing the free throws. Como Park 5 of 11. Mounds View throws it away. Jada James all alone. You know where that's going. So Jada James picks up 2 the old-fashioned way. And the Cougars on cruise control. Timeout, Mounds View. 4:03 remains in the first half, and the Cougars have not lost their athleticism or their mojo at all in this game. It hasn't always been pretty, but they've been the team on the controlling end of things. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on cable access, whether it's SPNN or CTV North Suburbs, you'll be seeing a lot of me throughout the season. Plenty of games coming your way. There's another invitational up at Park Center. That's in late December. And another throwaway. Mounds View rattled by the Como Park defense. There have been 3 or 4 possessions by my count where Mounds View just throws it out of bounds. Shania Nichols was looking for the end around and stepped too far out of bounds. And then a foul on the Cougars. That will send Katie Manicky to the line, but free throws anything but automatic thus far. This is a 1-and-1, and the officials catch it. Of course they do. Manicky gets the front end to fall. It's been a while since the Mustangs have converted on a field goal. That long drought afflicting them considerably with a 26-11 score. Porter fakes the 3, can't break free, almost lost it. Long skip to Nichols, who finds James inside for the layup. Jada James up to 7. Como Park balancing it out. 8-8-7. Between Nichols, Porter, and James. And a reach-in foul will be called on Chloe Dimitri. We mentioned Dimitri, a transfer from Columbia Heights, as Lindsay Becker goes to the line. Not necessarily front-page transfer news compared to some of the other folks we've seen over the last couple of days. And Becker missing the front end of a 1-and-1. Like we said, free throws in this one, anything but automatic. Nichols almost got it to go in. Jada James, that could have been a foul. Might have bumped calls there, but we play on. Mounds View works their way inside. Elizabeth calls. Get yourself open and cashes in. Porter for 3. You bet. Ronnie Porter with her 3rd triple. And with Michaela Van Nett now in college, Como Park in search of a new perimeter option, and Porter just might be the ticket. Along with Shania Nichols, calls in trouble, straddled the baseline, the end line, and goes out of bounds. 31-13. And Como Park last year picked up a convincing win over this Mounds View team, and Nichols looking for the exclamation point in this first half. 2 minutes to play. Another traveling violation. Como may not get a ton of respect compared to some other schools, but Alexis Gray-Lawson, she has this team focused. You can't doubt that. Historically competitive over the last few years, but lacking in height. I'm sure they'd love to get some 6'1", 6'2" player who could mix it up down low. KK Asbury took the bunny hop, traveling violation. It's been a fine half, though, for the Cougars. They haven't had to call a timeout. And then Asbury called for the push on Becker. That will send Becker to the line. .129 remains. And Lindsay Becker gets the first. Becker's starting to find a rhythm from the line, and Mounds View, while they haven't scored too many field goals, are starting to punch in their free throws. 7 of 11. So slightly ahead of Como Park. Ronnie Porter in trouble, finds Nichols open for 3, and Nichols will send a thank you card to the rim. Her third triple. She and Porter both have 3. Mounds View gets the answer. Elizabeth calls. Drills it. But the Cougars with a 16-point lead. Under a minute to play. Riley to Nichols. Dimitrick. She walked. A lot of traveling calls in this game. I think you see the part of both teams wanting to go in motion a little more quickly than they should. Mounds View with a chance to pick up a little momentum. Becker on the off-balance shot, that doesn't fall. Now the Cougars are on the run. And Ronnie Porter fires the 3. High carom goes into Riley's hands. I should say Walker. Nichols missing another 3. Another O-board for Walker. Nichols on the give and go. And Nichols drops the rainbow. Walker with the steal. Has to heave it up. Well, it didn't go in, but plenty of other plays did for the Cougars. 36-18 our score. A strong first half. That pesky defense of theirs causing fits for the Mustangs. And the Cougars well on their way to a 2-0 start to the 2018-19 season. We'll take a break and come back for the second half. This is high school girls basketball, the Pat Patterson Thanksgiving tip-off.
If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, Patreon is the place. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage.
And we rejoin you at Hutton Arena, the birthplace of intercollegiate basketball. Mike Beaton all by myself, talking to myself. And Como Park doing a lot of talking. Alex got the reference, and if Ted were here, he would have added that to that. Ted LaRue, the sports director at VAC TV, and he and I share Jurassic Park conversations frequently. Como Park doing a lot of talking, up 36-18, 2-1 over Mounds View. Shania Nichols with 13, Ronnie Porter with 11, Jada James with 7. Mounds View got a few free throws to fall, but that's about it. And then Elizabeth Calls hit a late 3 in the first half. And Lindsay Becker gets a field goal to drop to start the second. Mounds View has some work to do. It's tough to contain that scrappy Como Park defense. It puts them at risk for a lot of fouls, but as you saw, it also puts them in position to get fast break opportunities. Mounds View looking to do just that here. Runner too strong, and a free throw's coming for Lindsay Becker. The foul will be assessed to Chloe Dimitrick. And that is the 3rd personal foul for Chloe. The transfer from Columbia Heights. Played there as an 8th grader. So she'll have to take an early trip to the bench. Shaquilla Walker will take her spot. Becker drops both, and after a rough start at the charity stripe for the Mustangs, they've turned it around. They're going to need a little more than that to claw their way back from this deficit, but nothing wrong with converting freebies, and a 5-second call on KK Asbury, unable to break Lauren Danielson's coverage. Mounds View with Ashley Ansel in her 2nd season. She came over from North St. Paul. High-low, and another foul called on the Cougars. More free throws coming. This time it's Chloe Whalen. In case you're wondering, likely no relation to Lindsay Whalen, who was here earlier today. Lindsay on the scouting trail as the head coach for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And Whalen drops the first. Porter drives and got fouled on the way up. Unfortunate because Becker had the block, got the deflection, and then made contact. So Becker could have had the block and another chance for buckets, another chance for points for the Mustangs. Instead, Ronnie Porter gets a chance at 2 here. But as I've said, you want to hang with Como. It may not hurt to put him at the line, make him earn it. They have not always fared well there. Porter will settle for a split. Long 2, swish. That's Chloe Whalen with the first field goal. All 5 starters have now scored for the Mustangs. Pass a bit sloppy, but it does find Porter, and then Walker runs into a wall. 3 on the way. That's long from Asbury. Rebound Becker. Mounds View in transition. Goodbye. Elizabeth calls up to total to 9. Como Park calls the timeout. Mounds View appearing to respond to Como Park's defensive output in the first half. 16-12 remains. And Mounds View clawing their way back. And we've seen this time and again. Como Park can build leads. Sustaining them can be difficult. But they're getting more production now from some of the big names. We expected this game to be a bit closer than Eastview, Mounds View. As I understand it, both teams have 4. But for the first time all game, Mounds View on a surge. Nichols looking to end it. Her 3-pointer is short. And another transition deuce. Calls again. I believe it was Becker that fed her the dime. Asbury with the answer as she drains the runner. Como Park needed that, but Mounds View looking to run again. Becker with the rebound. Forces the jump. Mounds View with the arrow. And the Mustangs looking to make things interesting. They trail by 10. Well, that looks a lot better. This is Meneke. Three on the way. That could have been a big bucket for Whalen, but free throws coming for Lindsay Becker. Lindsay Becker cashes in on the free throws. Mounds View 12 of 17, and we've got ourselves a doozy here. Mounds View makes it a 6-point game on another fast break play by Chloe Whalen. Asbury is fouled, she'll shoot 2. It was 36-18 at halftime, and it looked like Como Park could do no wrong, but Mounds View deciding to speed things up, and Como having a tough time keeping up. And now the free throws start to play a role. Mounds View 12 of 17, and Como, how many times have we said this over the last couple of years where they've left points at the line? Lane violation called on calls. Went in too early, I presume. So Asbury will get another shot at this. And that gives Asbury the gift of an extra point. But the Cougars just 7 of 15. Mounds View 12 of 17. And it's the Mustangs with the momentum right now. Nice workaround by Becker. She couldn't put it in. Rebound and free throws coming for Elizabeth Calls. And Shania Nichols picks up her 4th. As we noted, Como Park's aggressive style of play can net them a lot of fast break opportunities, but it also leaves them susceptible to being hit with fouls. And the last thing you want to do is put a team that is finding their groove at the free throw line, more of them. Those free throws help them ride out some early turbulence. And they get the offensive rebound after a split from Calls. They have a chance to make this a one-possession game with a 3, but instead, Mounds View is rejected. Porter. 3 is no good. Jada James ends up with a rebound. Como looking for an answer. And Asbury will give it to him. On the one, almost Kobe Bryant-like step back, and that's a silly foul on Asbury. Como Park with just one more to give. Just a second foul on KK Asbury. Becker out to Meneke. And another foul. That's the last to give for Como Park. That means Mounds View will be in the bonus the rest of the way. It's the 3rd on Asbury, and they call it a shooting foul. Interesting. So Claire Dalton will get a chance. Alexis Gray Lawson, understandably furious if you're a Como Park advocate. So Asbury picks up her 3rd. You have Shania Nichols sitting with 4. And some of the heavy hitters for Como Park that were responsible for building an 18-point lead find themselves in trouble. Dalton makes both. Mounds View 15 of 21. Might not surprise you considering the difference in competitiveness between Como Park and Eastview. Eastview, one of the perennials in Class 4A. But this is what you want to see for Ashley Ansel. A resilient effort. Mounds View bench would have erupted had that gone in from Whalen. Instead, Como Park has a transition chance if they want to go for it. Porter does, no good. Dimitrick is there for the cleanup. The first basket for Chloe Dimitrick. And Como Park, they just got to ride this out. They're not going away from their identity on defense. Trying to trap Mounds View, and it pays off that time as Dimitrick gets the strip and the foul, which will be charged to Claire Dalton. Asbury. Looking for the entry pass to James. She finds her, and James muscles her way inside. Jada James makes it a 10-point game, and this is what Como Park wanted to see. But Mounds View made it a game. Deflected, so Menike can retrieve it. 3 on the way. It's there! Elizabeth calls. And calls up to 15, doing a lot better than yesterday. James, shovel pass to Dimitrick. Everything worked. Jada James was there, picked up the loose ball, and puts it in. James up to 11. Well, we're seeing a lot of high-flying action now. Timeout, Ashley Ansel. Mounds View not going away, but Como Park awaking from their slumber earlier in this half. 48-39. And a reminder, if you want to support a broadcast on TSB Television, just hit me up on Patreon. Patreon.com/TSB Television. Sponsorship rates start at just $1 a month. And that grants you, well, that could grant you some perks if you go at the higher levels, get your name in the credits, find yourself right here on a TSB television broadcast with me, and other opportunities if you'd like to get on board this train known as high school sports. Elizabeth calls with 15 points. Lindsay Becker with 11. And on Como Park's end, nobody with more than 13, but that's in part because of Shania Nichols sitting with 4 fouls. But it looked like Mounds View was going to swoop in and capture the lead without any problem. Jada James coming up with a couple of clutch plays inside. And we've got ourselves a ball game. And then a reach-in foul on Jada James. This is where Mounds View can make a run at the free throw line because they are in the bonus the rest of the way. James picks up her second personal foul. Como Park shooting under 50% at the free throw line. Mounds View doing slightly better. As Becker gets the friendly bounce. With that, Mounds View 17 of 23. North of 75%. Oklahoma Park will get to shoot two. This will be KK Asbury. Again, free throws not a strong suit on the part of the Cougars. And now Mounds View in a little bit of foul trouble here. Asbury gets that one to drop. Danielson subs out. I believe she picked up her fourth there. Lindsay Redlinger goes back in. And Asbury makes both. 9 of 17. But a 9-point game, and here's another steal for the Cougars, but Jada James hesitated a little bit and ends up with a double dribble violation. And with 11:10 to go and only a 9-point separation, every play is crucial. Who's going to win this one? We'll find out. High-low play worked out for Call. She couldn't get it. Mounds View 0-1 after the loss to Eastview. Como Park would like to end this weekend with a 2-0 start. Nichols off balance. Can't get the rim that time to fall in her direction. Como Park will have the arrow, so they'll hang on to it following the jump ball call. Asbury drives and will shoot two more. The foul will go against Redlinger. Como Park going back to their arsenal. They're just attacking the basket. They paid dividends for them in the first half, at the very least drawing fouls against Mounds View. Again, though, free throws have not been a strong suit, and that's something they'll likely have to contend with this season, much like a year ago. Asbury will settle for a split this time. She's inched her way up to 11 points. Como Park takes over following the dead ball rebound. Asbury tried to take it all the way. Lindsay Becker says, I don't think so. Comes up with a block. 51-41, 10-19 remains in the second half. Nichols back on the floor for the Cougars. Remember, she has 4 fouls. Becker with the strip. Bounces it over to Manakee. No good. James with the rebound. Hit from behind, but KK Asbury is open on the other end for the fast break play. Asbury up to 13. Becker collides with James. Another jump. Mounds View with the arrow, but Jada James in position, and part of that had to do with where she was on the floor as KK Asbury ran the fast break play. Jada James had plenty of time to set herself up again. The lead is back up to 12, 53-41. Calls for 3. Bullseye. Elizabeth calls up to 18. Porter with the answer. Yes. That was Asbury, I should say. In any event, Como Park keeps the foot on the gas. 12-point lead. 56-44. Snaking her way through, but coming up empty was Becker, and a little bit of extracurricular between Janes and Calls there. Colma Park with the arrow, 9:16 to go. It was an 18-point lead for the Cougars. It dropped to as little as 6, but KK Asbury and Jada James stepping up in the clutch here. And Alexis Gray Lawson will call a timeout with 9:08 remaining in the second half. This Colma Park team was once in Stillwater's position. Not a lot of history until a savior came along. In the case of Stillwater, it was Sarah Scalia, and she's helped turn that program into a respectable contender in Class 4A. And Colma Park hasn't quite matched that, but Andrea Adams did the same. You may recall she led the state in scoring as a junior. Didn't quite do so as a senior, but came up big when she needed to. Building support to follow that is difficult when you're not an established power like Hopkins and Eastview, the two big schools in Class 4A. All the other classes, there is considerably more parity. Not afraid to run up the score. And I don't mean pouring it on another team, but they like to floor it on offense. Nichols for 3, comes up short. The rebound will bounce into the hands of 2 players. Another jump ball. Mounds with the arrow this time. Foul on Ronnie Porter. That will send Leah Band to the line. Hasn't played a whole lot in this game. Just a second on Porter, but another chance for Moundsview to score with the clock stopped. And even though there's still some time left, 8:56, you won't gripe too much when you have that chance. Leah Band gets on the board. More folks filing their way in. Hamlin, not an easy place to avoid swarms of people. .8:43 to go. Moundsview shooting 72%, 18 of 25. Colma Park 10 of 19. Porter hit on the 3-point attempt. That goes out. Lindsay Becker steps into the lane, and it's the jumper. Nichols, foul. That's the last to give for the Mustangs. Becker again. Can't convert the layup this time. And that will be Mounds View ball. They trail by 9. And it looks like the call will be overruled. Well, I'd like to apologize if you're seeing throngs of people get into our camera shots. There are a lot of folks here. And not a lot of separation. Seven and a half minutes to go. A 9-point game. Ronnie Porter blocked. And Jada James fouled from behind. She'll go to the line. Foul will go against Whalen. James missing the front end on the 1-and-1. And again, this is a chance for the Mustangs to make a move by getting Como Park to the line. Timeout Mustangs to avoid the 10-second call. And with 7:06 remaining, we are still at a 9-point game as we await to find out who will go to 2-0, if it's Como Park or if the Mustangs can even up their record. Back after the timeout. Entry feed, and one for Elizabeth Calls. That puts her up to 20. And Mounds View can make it a 6-point game again if Calls can complete the 3-point play. (56-50). 6:50 to go. A lot of time in this one. Como Park led 36-18 at halftime. Mounds View found a way to break through. Jada James in traffic. Ends up with a rebound. Nichols launches the three. Has not been able to get it to drop. Como Park fans wanted a traveling call. Instead, Mounds View with a chance to make this a one-possession game. Becker goes for the two, doesn't fall. Jada James with a look on the other end, and she'll shoot two. Both teams in the penalty. Just the first foul on Katie Manicky, but Como Park, they've got a couple players sitting at 4 in Mounds View. And a little less of a bind. But if this becomes a battle of free throws, you have to like Mounds View's chances. Boulevard stuck at 50%. 3 ball. Mounds View, they've been oh so close, but cannot quite cash in on the possessions when they need to. That will be a traveling violation on Ronnie Porter. But no shortage of opportunities on the part of Mounds View. Will it be enough? That's the question. The skip pass to Becker, off the glass and in. Medicke with the dime, Becker with the deuce, and Lindsey Becker goes to 17. Nichols, unheard of here in the second half. She's been stuck at 13. Becker, that would have made it a 1-possession game. Jump ball, Mounds View with the arrow, so they'll have another chance to make this a 1-possession game with 5:18 to go. Mounds View hoping to complete one of the biggest comebacks in recent memory. And Lindsey Becker muscles her way in. 19 points. Becker was absolutely contained in the first half. Ronnie Porter drains the runner as Como Park tries to hold on. High low, Dimitrick with the block. And a foul on Medicke, maybe not a bad thing. Because that puts Jada James, a shaky free throw shooter, to the line. This is 1-1. Substitution for the Mustangs. If you're wondering who number 12 was, that was Madison Hanson. Now, 1-1, empty possession for the Cougars, but it was last touched by Elizabeth Calls. Como to inbound it, 4:49 left, and a 5-point game. James, that's a walk. Shoveled her feet. And James, not thrilled with that call, but that was clearly a travel. No way around it. Meanwhile, Mounds View inching closer. Chloe Whalen gets the bounce. She's up to 7. 1-possession game after the Mustangs trail by 18. Nichols leaves it short. Mounds View can tie it. They'll go inside instead. Becker with the finish. Timeout, Como Park, 59-58. Who would have thought that Mounds View would be within 1? Abe, apparently. And we've got ourselves a photo finish. We mentioned this before. Hanging on to the lead has proven problematic at times for the Cougars. And a big reason for that are Calls and Becker. Again, Becker had a solid showing in the game against Eastview, but Mounds View just doesn't have the numbers to contend there. Calls with 21, Becker with 21. Remember, this is the same team that swept Cretin-Durham Hall last year in regular season play. They can't face each other in the section because Cretin's in 4, Mounds View's in 5. Now, the Mustangs, they'll have to contend with the likes of Roseville again, Centennial, Park Center, and this is the type of situation that can define their capability. Remember, they were on the losing end of a lot of close games a year ago. Finishing in these circumstances could dictate their fortunes this season. It's one thing to fight your way back from an 18-point deficit. It's another to close out with the win. And there's a lot of time left. We're having a quick discussion here with 3:59 left. Latoya Turk will join me for our nightcap. We've got White Bear Lake and Eastview. They played each other on an annual basis. And Hopkins and Stillwater. The Hopkins-Stillwater game expected to draw a considerable crowd with the future golfer in Sarah Scalia and a D1 prospect in Paige Beckers. And it looks like there's some confusion over the number of timeouts or the foul situation. So another dramatic pause in a game that has been full of them, especially in the second half. It was all Como Park in the first half. Mounds View has answered back in the second. 36-18 at halftime. Mounds View has put up 40 in this frame. But will it be enough? That remains to be seen. Now we resume play. And a steal. Elizabeth calls to the rim and in. Mounds View takes the lead. Their first lead of the game. Porter for three. No. Mounds View looking to push again. A little out of control there, but they recover in time. Lindsay Becker with 23. Calls and Becker. Mounds View's dynamic duo. What a swing here in the second half. And a traveling violation on Dimitrick. Winning close games, the hallmark that separates contenders from pretenders. Mounds View looking to do what few teams can do when trailing by 18. I've seen some pretty crazy comebacks. I remember Osseo knocking off Bloomington Kennedy from 23 down. Granted, that wasn't a top-tier matchup, but it is possible if you stay with it. It certainly helps when you put up points at the rate Mounds View has. As we noted, the free throws, 19 of 26 for the Mustangs, 11 of 22 for the Cougars. Now that comes into play. But more importantly, Becker and Calls getting inside penetration. And Como Park stuck without any height down low to compensate. And sloppy turnovers won't help the cause. KK Asbury comes right back and gets fouled. Both teams in the double bonus now. And this game's certainly not over for the Cougars, even though they trail by 3 after leading by as much as 18. 44 points in the second half for the Mustangs. Como Park's defense outstanding in the first half. And now they find themselves beat. First one is good from Asbury. Interestingly enough, this is not the first time Como Park has found themselves in a nail-biter in the early part of the season. A couple years ago when Kenyon Wanamingo was a member of this field, Como had to sweat one out. Those were two big makes on the part of Asbury to make it a 1-point game. Several players in foul trouble on the Cougars, so they'll have to be careful. Nichols, I know, has 4, and I believe another player has 4 as well. A traveling violation. Elizabeth Calls got caught on the bunny hop. Well, we're going to have one takeaway for sure. Either one team will have a great comeback to speak of, or Como Park will talk about the game where they were in trouble but did not break. Asbury weaves away through traffic and scores. Como Park retakes the lead. Cougars showing pressure defense. Nichols gets the tip. And at the very least, that denies a backdoor play for the Mustangs. They'll have to inbound it, 63-62. St. Louis Park and Lakeville South waiting to take the floor, which will happen right after this game. 1:30 to go. Mounds View throws it away. Now, that doesn't mean the game is in Como Park's hands yet, as Leah Band comes back in for Madison Hanson. It's only a 1-point game. And remember, both teams in the double bonus. Como Park cannot rest on their laurels here. You're in that danger zone, that one possession range, where if you lay too far back, KK Asbury, that looked short the moment it left her hands. You don't want to sit back and just kill clock the entire time. You want to make Mounds View work for it, but you don't want to be so conservative that you step away from what got you there in the first place. But Como Park will play keep away for now, taking advantage of no shot clock. And Como Park doing a good job. He hit at 45 seconds. Calls hit with a foul her second. Como Park at the line. Even if Nichols makes these, it would still be a one-possession game. And 30.8 is a lot of time. Nichols with the split. A 2 will tie it. A 3 would give Mounds View the lead. Timeout Mounds View, 21.3 on the clock. I believe they have 1 left if they need it. Not keeping track of it on the scoreboard, but stand by for a photo finish. Mounds View out of fouls to give. Both, and Como Park also out of fouls to give. I meant to say both teams in the double bonus. So if Mounds View can draw a foul, they would get 2 automatically. Como Park has the possession arrow. As we resume play, Becker and Calls with 23 each. They got Mounds View back in this and gave them a 3-point lead briefly. KK Asbury responded with a couple of free throws and a big bucket. And Mounds View throws it away. Now, Mounds View will try to get a 10-second call. And they won't do that, but these free throws are not automatic. Ronnie Porter, if she misses one of them, Mounds View will still have a chance here with 13 and a half. Ronnie Porter with 14. I don't think Como will be thrilled about giving up such a big lead. But there's something to be said about withstanding a counter, and a big one at that on the part of Mounds View. Porter splits. Fight for the rebound will end up in Mounds View's hands. So, Mounds View can still tie it. They have 10.9. They threw it away on their last possession. Calls. Backs off. Remember, Mounds View needs a 3 to tie it. And they don't get a good one. Chloe Whalen did not get a good shot off. Como Park hangs on for a 65-62 win. Calls took the rock, went ahead, passed up on the 2-point try. And who knows what might have happened. In any event, Como Park hangs on for a nail-biting win. KK Asbury with 20 points, Ronnie Porter with 15, Shania Nichols with 14, and Becker and Calls finished with 23, but their comeback effort falls a little bit short. 65-62 the final. We'll try to get a word with KK Asbury before we wrap up this game. You're watching high school girls basketball, the Pat Patterson Thanksgiving tip-off at Hamline University.
If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, Patreon is the place. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage.
And joining me is KK Asbury. KK, 20 points, but you had to work to get this win. How nervous were you guys?
Well, actually, I think we just we came out there to compete. It wasn't really we were nervous. Like, we just know we had to get the job done. That's what we did.
I take it you don't give up 18-point leads that often.
No, not often. But, I mean, we didn't give up. Even though, like, we lost a huge lead. We continued to push, we continued to fight, and we pulled through.
And speak of that fight, because Mounds View got back when they sped up the tempo, but at the end, you got a bevy of big stops, and you made a couple of big plays as well. What changed in those last few minutes where you were able to put yourself back in front?
I think, our coach called a timeout, and, we huddled up and we were talking, and it's it just dawned on us all, we're not going to give up this game. This is our game. We've had an 18-point lead. There's no way we're losing. We got to win. We got to pull through.
What would you make of all the youth on this team that's coming back? You and Ronnie Porter, you were 8th graders a year ago. You got Chloe this year. You got a bunch of young guns out there.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of potential. I love it being able to play with young people because we can all develop together and basically show what we got.
And what can we expect from Como Park after you got a convincing win over Kennedy and then had to sweat a little adversity today with Mounds View?
We're here to make a statement to compete, so we're going to do whatever we got to do to win.
You want to say hi to anybody?
Just my family. Yeah, my family, my coach.
All right. Well, KK's family, I'm sure, has a lot to cheer about, as does the rest of the Como Park faithful. Congrats on the win. Hopefully you'll be able to hang on to a few more leads and not make your coach get any gray hairs.
Right. Thank you.
KK Asbury of Como Park will have more coverage from the Pat Patterson tip-off later this evening. Until then, I'm Mike Beaton. Thanks for watching.